This week on Christian World News, beaten and tortured in a Sudanese prison. See how a man dedicated to helping persecuted Christians soon found himself fighting for his own life and trapped in a cell with terrorists. Hear his amazing story in our exclusive interview. Plus, he's the baby who captured the hearts of millions around the world. Is there hope for Charlie Gard, the ailing infant whose parents were forbidden by their own government to bring him to the U.S. for life-saving treatments? And some may view the prophetic as a little creepy, but the Bible calls it a gift. See how this man is using his gift to reach the lost in Hollywood. And welcome to Christian World News, everyone. I'm Wendy Griffith. George Thomas is on assignment. Well, for years, he served the persecuted church with the Voice of the Martyrs. Then, on a trip to Sudan, Czech national Peter Jašek was arrested and charged with espionage. He was sentenced to 20 years in jail and imprisoned with Islamic militants. Through international intervention and God's grace, he's been freed from prison. In an interview with our Gary Lane, Jašek reveals the details of this horrible experience.
Arrested during a trip to Sudan, missionary Peter Jašek was imprisoned with members of ISIS.
One of the ISIS members was a Libyan guy who, at the age of 12, was a personal guard of Osama bin Laden in Tora Bora. And later on, when he returned to Libya, he was one of the murderers who slaughtered the 20 Egyptians on the Libyan shore. He told me that if I was an American or a Russian, that he would break my neck immediately and kill me. He took out a fishing string, quite a strong fishing string from his pocket, and he was showing how he can kill a person within a few seconds with this fishing string.
Peter discovered his other cellmates were just as extreme. When asked to share news from the outside, he told them about the Paris terrorist attack.
When I said that 129 people got killed, they interrupted me and they started to shout Allahu Akbar for several minutes. So immediately I knew that the company that I was in, and I stopped telling them any more news. They called me a filthy pig or a filthy rat, and if I did not react to this new name, they started to beat me with slapping my face or fist to my face, or then they used a wooden stick. So I gradually learned to live with the new name. I was not Peter anymore, I was just filthy pig.
How did it come to this? Why was this man dedicated to helping persecuted Christians now himself persecuted? Peter's arrest came in December 2015, just 2 years after the Sudanese government thought it had expelled all foreign Christian workers from the country. While visiting Sudan, Peter met with Christian leaders and recorded some video. Agents confiscated his equipment and charged him with spying against the government. During his first 4 months in jail, Peter asked God to return him to his family. His epiphany came after he led some Eritrean prisoners to Christ.
And I suddenly started to realize that there is a purpose, that the Lord has a purpose for me to be in prison, to share the gospel with those people. And I started to be even more courageous to open my mouth and share the gospel also with the Muslims who were in the previous cell with me.
In January 2017, a Sudanese court sentenced Peter to 20 years in prison. His work helping persecuted Christians in Sudan was considered an anti-state activity, espionage.
I really was considered to be a very dangerous person, and they mentioned that I am an employee of the a spy organization called VOM. So actually VOM was it's a spy organization.
Not a missionary.
No,
not
it's
a mission
spy
organization.
Yeah.
The son of a pastor, Peter had experienced persecution before, growing up in communist Czechoslovakia.
A wire service bulletin flashes the word to an unbelieving world.
Christian oppression intensified in Czechoslovakia after Red Army tanks rolled through Prague in August 1968. Government agents constantly monitored Peter's parents and their Christian activities.
They knew that we were receiving Bibles and we were receiving Christian literature, and we were also my parents were distributing that.
One day, Peter returned home from school and found his parents missing.
They were arrested by secret police and interrogated, and apparently the secret police wanted to know what was going on in our house.
And 36 years later, like his parents, Peter was arrested for his Christian activities, only this time at the hands of Islamists, not communists. But God prepared Peter for his prison experience years earlier, when his father gave him a special gift.
Without saying much, he brought a book written by Richard Wurmbrand. The name of the book in German was In Gottes Untergrund, which means in God's underground in English, and I was fluent in German at that time already, so he gave me this book and he said, read this book, it will encourage your faith.
Peter's father passed at the age of 89, while Peter was in prison. And what do you think, Peter, he would say to you about your time in prison and what you went through if he were still around now and he knew about it? All the details.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that he would be proud of me. I'm quite sure, yeah.
Peter was freed after spending 14 months in prison. He credits the Czech government for negotiating his release and the prayers and support of Christians around the world. Nearly 500,000 people signed a petition for him, and thousands sent encouraging cards and letters. Peter says he was brought to tears when he heard some Sudanese women near the prison singing Christian praise songs. How did your experience change you? How is Peter Yashik different now compared to before your prison experience?
When you come through this situation, you realize that everything that you have is a grace of God, and it is only His strength that it is in prison. It is not your own strength that you can survive. Being humble and being faithful till the last moment, this is the moment when we can be more than conquerors when we go through difficult situation because of our faith in Jesus Christ.
A humble servant of the persecuted church, persecuted himself, and then freed from prison. Grateful for those who prayed and for learning to wait patiently on God for victory and grace. Gary Lane, CBN News, Prague.
Gary, coming up, who is this man that so many are praying for? It's President Trump, and America's evangelicals are among his strongest supporters. We'll tell you more about this amazing meeting when we come back.
Folks, there's a power beyond the realm of human intellect.
In Pat Robertson's new DVD, Miracles, learn how you can experience God's power in your life.
You've said that there are 3 components to seeing miracles. What do you mean by that?
A power that can overcome any problem.
This is the normal inheritance of the children of God.
And see inspirational true stories of miracles.
Meet the real people who have come face to face with that power.
Medicine cannot explain this.
I felt the strength of God come.
I am being healed.
Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your copy of Miracles. Experience God's power in your life.
I felt God saying, I am in complete control.
This was a dead man. Now he's alive.
It's definitely a miracle.
Miracles. Experience God's power in your life.
Available now.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to Christian World News. This week, American evangelical leaders gathered inside the Oval Office to pray for President Trump. Tony Perkins, Pastor Jack Graham, Ralph Reed, Michelle Bachmann, many others were there. Johnny Moore, former senior vice president at Liberty University, posted pictures of this special moment. But Moore says this was more than just a photo op. He says it shows a substantive relationship between the evangelical community and this administration. As President Trump recently told CBN founder Pat Robertson in an exclusive interview, he has a special bond with evangelicals.
The evangelicals were so great to me, and they did. They came out in massive numbers.
That's right.
And on top of that, I got 83%. But they came out in record numbers. They never came out like that. And we've really helped because I've gotten rid of the Johnson Amendment. Now we're going to go try and get rid of it permanently in Congress. But I signed an executive order so that now people like you that I want to hear from, ministers and preachers and rabbis and whoever it may be, they can speak. And that's going to be a great thing for Christianity, believe me, a great, great thing. And it's a great thing for religion.
And you can see Pat's full interview with President Trump on our website. Just go to cbnnews.com. President Trump's been busy overseas, traveling to Hamburg, Germany for the G20 summit earlier this week, where violent protesters took to the streets. They burned cars, raided supermarkets, and battled with police. Despite the chaos, Christians made a difference by coming together to pray for their country. When asked why, the leader of the prayer initiative says it's what God tells Christians to do.
We're all realizing that the power of the police alone does not help in this situation. The Bible, in the first letter of Timothy, encourages us to pray for the powerful, for the mighty, and for the ones who are executing power. And we may pray that God's will be done, and He has promised that this will happen.
Amen. Well, those believers prayed late into the night there in Germany and believe God is going to make a big change in their country. German lawmakers have voted to legalize gay marriage. The bill gives same-sex couples full marital rights and allows them to adopt children. Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel opposes gay marriage. She believes it should be between a man and a woman only, but she hopes the decision will lead to, quote, social cohesion and peace. The Church of England is rejecting the idea that changing genders or homosexuality are sins. The church voted in favor of a motion to affirm transgender people in the church. Christopher Newlands, a reverend with the Church of England, says, quote, we believe that trans people are cherished and loved by God, who created them and is present through all the twists and turns of their lives. The church also denounced conversion therapy for those struggling with same-sex attraction. The Charlie Gard case in London has gripped the world. The parents presented fresh medical evidence that an experimental new treatment could help prolong their son's life. The case has become an international controversy over who has the right to decide who makes the decisions for a child's treatment, the parents or the government. Dale Hurd brings us the story from London.
Charlie's parents say as long as there is a chance of saving their son's life,
it's a chance worth taking. We've been fighting for this medication since November. We're now in July. He's our son, he's our flesh and blood. We feel that it should be our right as parents to decide to give him a chance at life.
British and European courts have backed up doctors who want to turn off Charlie's life support, while his parents want to take him to America for experimental treatment. Charlie has a rare mitochondrial disease that can cause brain damage and death, but his parents say he does not have pain and suffering.
And he has not got catastrophic brain damage, as I'm sure you've read. There's no evidence of catastrophic brain damage. His brain is affected, but this medicine can get into the brain and help that.
Charlie's parents, Connie and Chris, simply want their son to have another chance to live. And they told CBN News they would be thrilled if he could come to America.
It's amazing. We love the support we've had, from all over the world, but America's been amazing. So yeah, I do have family in America. But yeah, no, we're really, really grateful. It's overwhelming.
The parents also delivered a petition Sunday with more than 350,000 signatures, urging London's Great Ormond Street Hospital to allow Charlie to be taken to the United States. Meanwhile, 2 U.S. congressmen say they'll offer legislation making Charlie a permanent resident so he can come to America. Dale Hurd, CBN News, London.
Thanks, Dale. Coming up, prophecy in Hollywood. See how one man is using a spiritual gift to connect Hollywood's leading entertainers to God.
Pat Robertson's new DVD, Miracles.
I knew it was God.
Meet real people who have experienced God's life-saving power.
God was taking care of us.
You'll discover the 3 components of miracles, the power of your words, and the abundant kindness and mercy God has for you.
Remember to keep on asking, keep on seeking, and you will receive.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. 8 years ago, my husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
When you give, smiles grow bigger. When you care, homes are happier. When you comfort, the hurt goes away. When we all come together to love, miracles happen.
And welcome back. Shawn Bolz is an author, producer, and TV host with a prophetic gift. And as our Efren Graham reports, he's using it to connect Hollywood to heaven.
Is there a Justin and Stephanie? Y'all know Justin and Stephanie? Oh, you're here for real. Thank you.
Shawn Bolz begins with just a few words.
I'm seeing July 15th over you. What is that? Your birthday. And who else's birthday? Your dog. That's so cute.
What follows is a very specific message he hears from heaven.
The Lord said there's a family calling on you, and I feel like he's saying, like, he gave me your names because he really wants you to feel known.
What's the importance of prophecy in people's lives? Why do you seek to do that and desire to do that and have God use you that way?
I think we have this omnipresent God who's everywhere at once, and yet he's the only God who will have relationship and be present and connect with us right now in the here and now. And prophecy causes us to know that the God of all the universe, who's looking at 7-point-whatever billion people, is stepping into our moment and saying, I value you. You really are mine. I really care about you. Like, what's important to you is even more important than me.
Here in Hollywood, Shawn walks red carpets and prays with celebrities like director Mel Gibson, Redskins running back Shaun Alexander, and film and television legend Pat Boone. Shawn is also a best-selling author, host of Dreams and Mysteries on the Daystar Network, and travels the world sharing practical wisdom about how anyone can hear the voice of God. 10 years ago, he and his wife started Expressions 58. While the Los Angeles church is open to all, it attracts 2 very different groups of people, the homeless and Hollywood entertainers.
Those on the street who are homeless, prostitutes, abandoned to the rest of the world, invisible. Why do those people stand out and touch your heart so much? Why do you find yourself reaching out to them with the prophetic?
I think what I love about hearing God's voice is that when you hear God's voice, you can close the reality gap between heaven and earth, meaning there's things that God wants to do that he said he will always do. Isaiah 58 talks about loving the poor, loving people who no one else sees, loving the foreigner. And that's our our kingdom, our Christian mandate to do. But when you hear God's voice, you can actually bring a restoration that no natural process can bring, or a moment in time that can lead them to a breakthrough moment, an aha moment to say, God's with me, he loves me, and can be a real turning point, even if it still takes a lifetime to overcome. And for me, you can't hear God's heart without having compassion.
From the least of these to Hollywood's rich and famous.
I heard when I first came here, Sean, I'm homeless in Hollywood, will you build me a home?
That call contradicts the popular notion Hollywood is godless.
Hollywood is like one of the most alive spiritual places there are. It's just that I think there's not the same moral compass. And morality to me is like, it's a virtue, you have to pursue it. And a lot of people who come into a leadership influence because of their talent and their gifting, we expect them to have the moral influence then as well. They may not have ever had a moral compass in their life, a father figure, a mother figure. And so we put this expectation, well, you're now leading a society, so you better be okay in all these areas. And so then when they're not, we judge them. They did a survey a couple years ago, one of the film groups, and they said, how many of you who are working in major studios are there because God, as a Christian, sent you there? 18,000 people responded and said, we're here because God sent us here. 18,000 people. We're involved with so many churches here locally, and makeup artists and singers and songwriters and all these backup singers and like all these managers and agents, writers. They're all so involved with their faith, doing things that are so profound. And then you'll have one person who proclaims to be a Christian, who thanks God at the Academy Awards, and then has 7 girlfriends at the same time. And we judge all of Hollywood's Christianity by that. And it's really sad because we get disappointed in what they're not. As opposed to celebrating what God is doing, we look at what people are doing and we go, oh, okay, that's what Hollywood's like then. And it's not true.
Sean's new home is in the heart of Studio City. He showed me around the place where countless movies have been shot, including scenes from Batman with Michael Keaton. Marilyn Monroe also spent time on the property where her postage stamp photo was likely taken. These days, the only snapshots are of Sean, his wife, and their 2 young daughters. But it's home base as he works to connect Hollywood and heaven.
The average person only lasts 2 years in Hollywood and pursuing their dream, and then they go home because it's too hard. And if they last more than 2 years, there's some baggage that happens just because how hard it is here, And so when we came here, I didn't really know. All I did is the people and loving them was my vision. I didn't know how to build a structure around that. So we built a church, and it's a beautiful church. Love the church. But in this phase, we're mostly working with people to find their empowerment and who they really are, so that they can go into it before maybe they come into their fullness. They can have a great sense of self-connection and God connection, so that they don't make the same mistakes. And we have a lot of older, seasoned people helping to pour into that, and it's a beautiful process to watch.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Los Angeles, California.
Great story. Thanks, Ephraim. And for more stories like these, be sure to follow us on CBNnews.com and follow me on Twitter, Wendy G. CBN.
Kids. We want them to grow up knowing God's Word. But in today's busy world, sometimes we could use some help. The free Superbook Kids Bible app has fun stuff your kids will love. They'll have a blast learning the Bible, playing great games, watching cool videos,
Follow me.
discovering heroes in the Bible. They'll have fun while they learn God's Word. The Superbook Kids Bible app, available on iTunes and the Google Play Store.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. 8 years ago, my husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Finally this week, Israel reacted angrily to the UNESCO decision that declared the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron a Palestinian heritage site in danger. As Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell reports, the decision ignores the Bible and 4,000 years of Jewish history.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu read from the book of Genesis at the weekly cabinet meeting.
The connection between the Jewish people and Hebron and the tomb of the patriarchs is one of purchase and of history, which may be without parallel in the history of peoples.
The tomb of the patriarchs here in Hebron goes back to the book of Genesis. The Bible says that Abraham bought this field for 400 shekels and then buried his wife Sarah in the cave of the field of Machpelah. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their wives were buried there more than 2,000 years before Islam was founded.
Of course, this did not prevent the UNESCO World Heritage Committee last Friday from passing yet another delusional resolution which determined that the tomb of the patriarchs, the same cave of Machpelah, is a Palestinian heritage site.
Following the resolution, Netanyahu said Israel would cut $1 million from its UN dues and use it instead to establish a Jewish heritage museum in Hebron.
I think that the claims that the site is under danger are baseless.
Yitzhak Reiter is an expert on holy places.
The motivation is dual. The one is to score points for future negotiations, claiming the ownership of and sovereignty over the cave of the patriarchs and also on Hebron. And the other one is to just prevent Israelis from taking over more space in the site.
King Herod built the structure over the cave 2,000 years ago. You can tell by the unique architectural style. 1,200 years later, the Muslim Mamluk conquerors modified the structure and added the minarets. They now consider it the Al-Ibrahimi Mosque. It's the mosque and surrounding Mamluk structures that Palestinians say are in danger. Under Israel's authority, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and anyone else can pray at the site. But Hebron's deputy mayor, Yusuf al-Jabari, said he'd change that if he could.
It is a pure Muslim mosque. It is a place for Muslim worshippers, and we would do all our efforts and everything we can in order to return this place to being a mosque for Muslim prayers only.
Some believe the UNESCO vote is just one more battlefront in a campaign to erase any Jewish ties to the land of the Bible. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the Tomb of the Patriarchs, Hebron.
Thanks so much, Chris. And thank you for joining us this week. Until next week, from all of us here at Christian World News, have a great week. Goodbye, and God bless you.